Well, good morning. Today is a beautiful day. It's about 75 degrees, I think is all it's going to get to as a high today, so we're loving it. We're going to go walk the whole 2-mile perimeter of the walls today. So let's get after it. We're standing on top of Bootham Bar. There would be a Roman gate underneath us. This is one of the main gates or bars. Bars mean the big tower gates here. But if you look right there, is where the wall would have cut right across this road and kept going on the south, it's kind of the southern side of the abbey. So this wall dates from like medieval times, about 700 years ago. There's a Roman wall underneath this, and actually the gate of this Bootham Bar is buried underneath the road here. It's just been built on top.
Just keep on coming. Whoa.
The area north of York was the site of one of the battles of Edward II. So this would be like the Braveheart era of Scotland. And at that time, an army marched out of York from the walls here and went down and lost to the Scots, to Black Douglas of the Scots. And they lost about 3,000 men. And after that, they started fortifying the walls a lot better, strengthening them and strengthening all the bars. So a lot of this would have been Victorian construction to make sure you're not going to fall off the wall. All right, this is one of the oldest towers, maybe the oldest in the church. It dates to the 1220s. I am standing atop the Robin Hood Tower, which is this little section with the benches, and this was all Victorian construction. So Victorians, very romantic, right? So they built these promenades around great cities and places where they could walk and enjoy, and they had a great love for the romance of past ages. So they built the walls and then added bits to it. So you can see the Roman ditch right down here in front of the walls, and then this little bit down here is all added by Victorians with a little salt and pepper. Little pepper pot tower. Thank you, Victorians. This is beautiful work you did. Wonderful promenade. The top of the tower, it's the oldest. This is the oldest tower we were talking about before that was built in 1200s.
Part of the tower?
Yeah, that's maybe part of the tower tour. There's people standing on top of that. So you get to go up to the very top of that. It's supposed to be some great views of York from there.
I can imagine.
Okay, this is Gray's Court. It's a cool hotel. You can come down here and have a drink. And this once belonged to Gray, a man named, I think is Edwin Gray, who owned a piece of a ruined wall down in the garden. And so in the 1830s, when people were starting to get romantic about the walls and wanted to restore them, and there were some battles about who owned the walls, was it the city or was it the people? And it turned out that it was one of the lords owned it, and even the people owned their portion of it. But eventually the city got all the pieces of the wall back, except for maybe this one in the back of Gray's home. And he just loved the wall because it was a romantic piece of the garden. He didn't want a wall walk built over the top of his garden where people could stare in, just like we're doing right now, and where the public could just come around here almost at any time. So he fought the construction of the walls, but or at least the completion of the walls around the back of his house. And so in the 1880s, a deal was reached. He ended up having some piece of the wall restored. There's a plaque here to commemorate it over on the side, right here, and it kind of gives a shout out to Gray, and maybe not the whole battle part of it between the city and Gray. And then eventually he ended up becoming Lord Mayor of the city in the 1890s. Maybe that was part of the deal. He could be the Lord Mayor if he gave part of his wall. But now it's a fully restored wall across this section. bit earlier in the day, but the bartender lady's hanging out there ready to serve us a drink if we were to come back. Maybe another day. What is that? So what is that? Magnesium limestone? So it comes in these different colors. Yeah, here's like an orangey one. There is a story about this part of the wall right here. So this was originally a Roman wall dating from as early as 71 AD when the city was founded. And this part would have been one of the 4 gates into the sides of the wall to get through. But this gate or bar was replaced by the Monk's Gate, or the Monk Bar, which is just down the road a little bit that way, just that tower right there, because that gave an entrance into the city that didn't take all of the public and everybody right through the middle of the church grounds. So they moved the gate down a little bit further.
Yes.
The guys throwing the stones, boulders on you, yeah, they're a little weathered. Okay, this is Monk's Bar. There's a King Richard III museum. He's from York. Inside that museum, you can see a working portcullis and then also a medieval restroom. This is Monk Bar. We think this might be the Mirage door where you pay your tax to enter the city. The spikes of the portcullis, they would have dropped the portcullis. It would have crammed itself into the dirt and then held fast the gate to the city. There's the murder holes right up under that arch. Okay, onward. We're up on the medieval wall now, so there was only minor repairs made to this section of the wall. And then during the English Civil War in the 1600s, these musket loops were added, places where guys could either kneel down and shoot out, or maybe they were a little higher and they could stand and shoot out. There's also been some restoration, some digging done to uncover parts of the old Roman forts that were still over the Roman wall. So here's like maybe one of the towers from the Roman fort that's been uncovered, left uncovered. Okay, this little ice house was built in the 1800s. It's Georgian, and so it would have been domed there, and there's a big pit down under there where they could have stored ice for the use in the summer. And here's the Ice House pub right there. So we found the end of the eastern corner of the Roman wall. So this would have been one corner, and the Roman walls would have shot through that way and just been a portion. Maybe they're a third or a quarter of the size of the full walls that the medieval walls that are around the city right now. This is the medieval guild hall. It's the Master Tailors Guild Hall. And so there's like 125, 130 tailors in the city, and they would have been members. This dates to in the 1300s. Here we found in the wall, these would have been they described them as very public toilets. They're medieval. We think they're medieval. There's arguments about the date. That one just has trash in it. This one's been filled in. You just get in here and... Oh, perfect.
I'm sure there was a seat.
The remains of the Jewish cemetery, I think they call it Jewbury, is like Jewberry, is like outside somewhere over here. I think there's a plaque over in the car park over there. Well, we found out that... Oh yeah, okay. So there's a signpost. That's the little Morrison's Cafe is there, but we're going to head off the tower now and go into that little secret garden that was back there. It's actually the garden of St. Anthony's Church, and this whole wall section juts out to protect the church, but it's a public garden. Go check it out. That was a little hard to find. We're on the other side of St. Cuthbert's, but success. It's like Ghost Stories York or something has this little booth here. Okay, we're off the lake and onto an industrialized area, a canal that used to be a lake that was created by William the Conqueror so that he could make a moat around Clifford's Tower area. Okay, this is the chimney of a former incinerator here that's now the signpost kind of for a Morrison supermarket that we're going to head into to go get a snack. Coffee. It was all at a self-serve kiosk, so they're going to make our coffee for us. Hammer's getting her own chocolate cake. Got a bacon sandwich coming. Coffee being made over there. That thing was called the Destructor. It was a big giant incinerator for trash built in like 1899. Yep. There's so many people putting their rubbish, throwing their rubbish in the lake. They decided to just go ahead and fill in the lake and let it, instead of letting it become like a scum pond. So they built this big incinerator and had everybody just bring their trash down here. Generated some power and electricity at the same time. If you like this content, let me know by hitting the like button and subscribing.